Hi, everybody. This is Dawn, and I have a wonderful guest with me today. Jake Troxell is on the show, on the pod. Let's go. I want to introduce Jake today. But before I do that, I want to step back just a smidgen. We are in year number 3 of the podcast. And this year, we are focusing on a subject each week that is detailed to my guest that they can speak and expound upon regarding their experience with the subject. And the hope is that as a listener, you can tune in and you can go, haven't thought of it that way. Maybe this might work for me. I hear what he went through, what she went through, and this is something that I really relate to. Kind of opening our box of different experiences to see other things that might be more beneficial for us if we haven't looked that direction. So, opening our mind, our mental game, if you will, giving us perspective to be able to grow a little bit more in our identity and our authenticity. That's the goal for year 3. And I met Jake probably about a month or so ago in a
Yeah, I think
networking
so.
meeting.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
dude, we spoke after the meeting and I was just like, I have to have you on about this. We're going to speak today specifically about authenticity and finding your voice. And Jake is a great one for this because Jake does counseling and consulting with high school students and adults, but you also do presentations for high school students and you work one-on-one, heavy into the volunteering scene as well, contributing and giving back to community in a way to help benefit the youth of our world in a way that really gives them some traction to step into the shoes that they're meant to step into. And I
Mhm,
think
mhm.
that's so missed, especially now in our day and age. And I can't wait to hear more about what it is that you do and for you to share that with our listeners because like finding your voice, standing in your truth, being who you are, being authentic, and being
Mhm.
okay with doing that. Like you're giving young people permission to do that. And
Yeah,
that's something that I think is missing. So,
yeah,
guys, welcome Jake Troxell to the
yeah.
show. Let's go.
Thank you. You described that quite well, what it is I do. So I was like, okay. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. If I would have heard that, me like somebody else doing that for the first time, I'd be like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
a
Well,
cool thing that
good.
they did. So very accurate description.
Well, I will say
Yeah.
that we are pretty symbiotic in terms of our mode of connection with people and our desire to try to help a community outside of
Mhm.
ourselves with,
Mhm.
if we look on your website, jaketroxellconsulting.com, because that's the way we can find it's your story matters, you matter, and your future matters. I mean, like
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
those statements are so profound and so integrous. And I think it's something to look a little bit deeper to. So let's describe a little bit about what it is that you do. Let's start there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I work with high schoolers. That's how I first describe what I do. I just work with high schoolers. At the core, there's like two things at the core that I'm trying to convey and help them with in life. Um, Understanding who they are,
Mhm.
because everything flows from there, that authenticity. And then I just want them to know that they have an adult in this world that cares for them. Like those are the two things. Because it's so often that high schoolers, the adults in their life, not just parents or parental figures, but like teachers and any authoritative figure, it's just just figure out what you need to do in this world. Here's what you need to do to be a good citizen. Here's what you need to do or to play a sport well or to do this thing. And it's
Mhm.
never just about, hey, I want you to know that you matter. And
Mm.
that's what I come in and I do is just I get to be the voice. Like if I work one-on-one with a student, I tell them like I am the bottled up version of your parents' care for you. Like your parents
Oh,
care about you as a human being, and they're bringing me in to show you that you care, that they
yeah.
care for you, and that you matter.
Look at
And
that.
so I just like, as the person that I am, I just come and work with high schoolers. And then what that looks like is just a whole bunch of questions,
Mhm.
typically. And then there's this delicate balance with high schoolers to where they don't understand yet, like what the world is like.
Right.
And so you have to do this balance of helping them understand who they are and where they're at, but also giving them some structure to, hey, here's what you're stepping into.
Mhm.
um, and so that, excuse me, I'm getting over being sick. Um,
Oh,
and so
sorry.
my voice ain't doing so hot. But there's this delicate balance of, here's who you are, and then here's what you're stepping into. And then through like a whole bunch of questions, a whole bunch of just listening to them. And then when it feels appropriate, like I don't know how to properly like word this, but I know when I'm talking with high schoolers, there comes times where I'm like, I know I have all of their attention. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's when they have given trust to me. And
Yeah.
then that's when it's like, okay, you're valuable, you're loved, you're seen, you're known, and you're celebrated. And then here's what you're stepping into in the future.
Right.
So, and then whenever I go talk to groups of students, it's like encapsulating that. But
Yeah.
um,
Do you prefer
yeah,
one-on-ones or presentation? Because I know that you do both. You
yeah,
you present to groups and to high school students in schools and in different situations, obviously. But that one-on-one for me, I feel like everything you just explained is it's so critical to be able to connect in that way. I mean, you can connect in a group setting, obviously, but that
hmm
one-on-one really is meaningful. I know from my past, when I have been able to connect with somebody, a therapist, a trusted friend, a mentor, that's been such a huge foundation laying kind of
yeah.
place for me.
100%. So I don't have one over the other that
Mhm.
I like and enjoy more. And I wouldn't say um, them transformation happens more in a one-on-one setting. But what I enjoy about like a group, is a lot of those kids don't like they haven't heard more than like 5 times in their entire life that they're loved.
Mm,
Like, and so getting to go to a group of students, just be like, "Hey, you matter," and just telling them again and again and again in so many words, like, I love that, because
yeah,
a lot of those kids just they might not ever get that. And then, like, when you're young, especially, like, as a like a guys learn to use their tongue to get the females,
yeah,
and the
it's that
women.
talk,
Yeah,
it's that
yeah.
chatter, yeah,
'Cause and women are, and as they're growing and developing, they don't know. They're just like, "Oh, you make me feel good, like I matter," and and
mhm,
all of that stuff. So then these guys just come in, and it's not healthy that they see, "Oh, that's how you get to a girl, is to do that." And so if they have that like tank already filled where they feel cared for, those words don't mean anything. It's like, "Oh yeah, cool, I already," but there's so few kids that actually feel that, where they're
yeah,
like, "I actually feel like I matter in this matter in this world, and that I'm cared for." And
yeah,
so I love being able to share that with a big group of students, just so that they hear it in their life, because
right.
there's so few people that actually get to,
That's
unfortunately.
just profound to me, and it makes complete sense that they don't hear like, young people don't hear that. Would you say
Mhm.
5 times on an average, like, that they're hearing very limited they're having very limited exposure to those words and those feelings from adults that they look at for guidance and they look at
Mhm.
for help and assistance along the way. Do you think that too, some of it in the maturation process of teenagers, like their hippocampus it's not fully developed until they're in their 20s.
Mhm.
So what a formative time that they're in anyway, you
Yeah.
know? Like
Exactly. Exactly. And that's where
we got you there, yeah.
yeah. That's
Yes.
where, like, we don't know how to, like, tell people, and it takes, I mean, it takes being vulnerable, like as the person that like is sharing it with them. You have to have experienced it yourself, which means you have to like have let your guard down and say, hey, I'm going to allow you to see me and know me and support me and be there for me. And if you haven't done that yet yourself, you can't create that for somebody else. You
Yeah.
can do all of the same things, but the experience for the individuals going through the maturation process that you're trying to do it to, it's not going to come off.
Right.
And it's such a, like, I know parents and administrators care for their students, but they don't know how to like understand, like people forget what it's like to be a high schooler.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
it
It's stepping
sucks.
outside of it. It's like our experience was we were there at one point too, but I think
Yeah.
there's a real kind of a blanketing of our experience when we look and we can't step outside of ourselves to see the situation for what it is. Like, I mean, I've got a 22-year-old and an 18-year-old. So let's just talk about the tumultuous years of raising children. And it's still happening. I'm still raising them. If you, I'm still their mom, still their parent.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
it takes I think you really brought up a really great point. Doing our own work and having our own experience to be able to stand with them and to be able to help them understand their process is so
Mhm.
important. So
Yeah.
talk to me about your experience, because obviously if this is something that you have chosen to, for your life path and for to benefit others and to really dive into, there had to be some work that you had to do
Oh,
personally
yeah.
to be able to
Oh,
hold that space. So give me that experience for you.
yeah. The I've done so much work. And then like jokingly in my head, I'm like, I'm so done and I want to be done with it. But it never, it never ends. Never ends. It's
Right.
always, and it's good that it never ends, because then it's like, God, gee, I just need to like actually live this out or like
Mhm.
recall this. It's good because like I it is when we are in the most pain that love comes and meets us the deepest. And so
Mhm.
whenever you're going through life and you're struggling through something, it's an opportunity to be like, oh, I'm loved. Oh, I'm loved. So it's actually good to go through life with things that are difficult. I like, for me, the catalyst for my like journey of diving into who I am, I was like dating someone, and like we got along so absurdly well. Um, our first date, we were like friends before, and then our first date was 18 hours, and all we did was talk, and
Oh, I love that.
it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I was like, at that point in my life, I was like, I intellectually knew of what it was to be emotionally mature.
Mhm.
Um, but I didn't have the like, I wasn't actually connected with myself and what was going
Mhm.
on inside of myself. And eventually it caused like the relationship not to work out.
Mhm.
We were too codependent on each other.
Mhm.
Um, and then I was like, I don't want to lose someone in the future because I am not able to understand what's going on inside of myself.
Yeah.
Um, and so because of that, I had already been on the journey, like in the relationship, like starting to like pry under that. But I used to give like a little uh, view of what it was like where I started from. I was seeing someone, their term is a life consultant.
Yeah.
Um, and they just help you basically see your relationship with yourself and then help you build a relationship with yourself. And I
Yeah.
remember whenever I was first starting to like do work with them, like 6 months in, she was like, I think you hate yourself. And I'm like, no, there's no way I hate myself. Then like I was like, you're totally right. I didn't tell her this, but in
Yeah.
my head, I'm like thinking, I'm like, no, there's no way I hate myself. And then
Uh,
like 3 months after she said that, I like finally was like, oh yeah, I hate myself. And
mhm.
it showed up like, um I'd imagine me talking to myself at a coffee shop, and just like having dialogue when I was building my relationship with myself.
Mhm.
And I remember when I first would start doing it, I'm like, why would I sit down with myself? Like, I'm not
Mm.
worth the time. Like, this guy's a joke. Like, he's
Oof.
disgusting as a human being. No one likes him. No one wants him.
Mhm.
And just the view that I had towards myself, I was like,
Mhm.
geez, this is really bad.
Mm.
Um, and then just after like 5 years of working through all that, I was able to get to this place. Like, like when I'm afraid of something, I no longer try to, um, I no longer just try to white knuckle and like just get through it. I like I come and I sit with myself and I'm like, and I tell myself, I know you're scared. I see you're scared
Mhm.
and I know that you're afraid and I'm here with you.
Mhm.
Um, Everything's going to be okay. And however I end up responding, I end up responding. But yeah, my journey has been one of going from hating myself unknowingly,
Yeah.
subconsciously into like, oh yeah, I love who I am,
Yes.
and value myself.
I think that's so much deep inner work that you've done in that concept. It's such a really I feel like we can sit here and talk about it and people go, "Oh yeah, I understand what that is. Oh yeah, I get what that is." Until you heard like the dark night of the soul. I think that's the term, or you like
Yeah, 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 yeah,
sit you when you sit with that kind of stuff, right? Look that
yep.
you guys don't know what that is, Google that one up. You'll take you down a rabbit hole right there. But I think we all walk around at different points in our experience with that inner turmoil of not liking ourselves
Hmm.
and really questioning, what is it that I'm here for? What is it that I'm here to do? Why is it that I'm feeling the way I'm feeling? All of the things. And I just like actually had a client yesterday. We were talking about two different things existing in the same bowl, like two different emotions. I can be angry,
Yes,
still be grateful at
yes,
the same time. So I can
100%.
have this inner turmoil, but still feel love for another person. So
Yes,
you can still be doing your work. Because I just want people to hear, like, you can do your work, but still be contributing in a way that is beneficial to a community. Like the two things
yes.
can commingle,
Yeah,
right?
100%. I
Mm.
just yesterday was talking, not yesterday, a few days ago, talking with someone, and I told them like at the core of like the only thing that actually matters is you knowing that you're loved. Like that's
Mhm.
period, end of story. And like if each human being, if you were to like take baby Hitler and put him like when he's 2 months old,
Mhm.
you are not going to be like, that's going to turn into Hitler.
Yeah.
That human being went through all of this pain and all of this rejection and all of this struggle and all of friend death, that eventually manifested itself into this human being that just was a monster.
Right.
And if he just would have been like, hey, I love you. Hey, like he had people in his life, not that his parents didn't love
Mhm.
him, but just like, hey, you're loved. Hey, you're loved. And other adults, hey, you're loved.
Yeah.
And so I was telling this to this person that like at the core, only thing that matters is that you know that you're loved. And they interpreted that and they were like, oh yeah, that just gives you like you're just not going to do anything if you're loved.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, no, you do everything because you know you're loved and you want to share that love with
Yeah.
other people. And it brings so much into this world. And like you said, you can hold that. I'm in deep pain right now, but I'm also loved at the same time.
Mm.
And holding them at the same moment in history that you're in,
Mhm.
like that right there is just like that's what I want to tell high schoolers and
Yeah.
teach them how to do because
Yeah.
it's the most freeing experience ever.
Yes. Freeing. Tell me about how you work through when you have somebody in front of you that's struggling in a way they're so guarded that you're having a difficult time getting to that place where they feel like, dude, I can trust you and I can let my guard down even just 1%. I always talk about like 1%. If you can give just 1%, that's enough of an opening to provide hope, to incite change, to like maybe give the gift of choice just a little bit for you to move into a different direction.
Yeah.
How do you combat that when you reach up against and you butt up against those struggles with young people that maybe not aren't buying into it. Or like, dude, you
Yes.
have, or they're sitting there going, you have no idea. Because I can tell you, my kids would be like, you have no idea the day that I experienced. I'm like, you know what? You are correct. I'm going to validate them. You are right. I don't have an idea because I'm not you, but I also do have an observation, and I do know that you are valuable in this situation,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
whatever it is that you're going through, you are bigger than the experience of what's happening right now. So it's how do you do that with a teenager? How
Yeah.
what's your experience been with that?
Um, I I don't have particularly a way to say I do it. I just kind of flow with whatever,
Mm,
um like I know it takes time for
mhm.
trust to develop.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to rush it because it's like I don't look at what I do as changing anybody or fixing anybody or curing anything. I just look at it as when we're together, someone has the opportunity to be seen and celebrated.
Mhm.
And when I'm with them, like their parent might be like, "Hey, I want my kid to like get better grades," and it's really difficult because it's like, what good is there's an old adage of what good is it to gain the world but lose your soul. And it's
Mm,
like if you get the things that are usually told to you that matter, but you lose yourself in that process, means nothing. And
nothing.
so
Yeah.
if you get good grades but you don't feel seen and loved, like what's the point? And so for me when I'm working with students, like and they I have I have spent my life cultivating being loved and sharing love. And
Mhm.
so young people feel that. I know they do. I know like when they're around me, they're like, because they can see through bullshit so quick. Um,
Totally,
yeah,
totally. Yeah.
yeah. And so they see me and they're like, wait, hold on. You're not gonna bullshit me? And
Mhm.
they know it immediately because I'm like, I'm not here to tell you to get into a better college. I'm not here to tell you to get better grades. I'm not like I coach soccer and I even like I'll tell the kids, I'm like, I don't care if we win. I genuinely don't care if we win. I
Yeah.
want you to play the best that you can play. And
Mhm.
more often than not, you will win if you're playing the best that you play. Because
Right.
we'll yeah, not going to go into all of that, but um yeah, I don't actually find a lot of walls up
Mhm.
for me in particular. People have walls up around life, and then it's around getting those walls up, but around me, or getting past those walls around like the person that I am, there's not many walls, but they'll have a thought or idea of like, I can't put myself out there with my friends
Right.
because they're going to like think that I'm like specifically for a guy, they're going to be like, oh, they're going to think I have emotions and feelings. That's not good. The
I'm
so
I'm like, I'm being vulnerable, like vulnerable. Like,
yeah.
who wants to go there? I'm putting that in air quotes, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
um
Yeah.
so so it's they're fine around me, but then when it comes to them thinking about the rest of life, they're just like, how do I do that? And then that's where it's like, that's when we'll build the tools and stuff. But that is always secondary to them just like feeling that they matter.
Yeah, I mean, and you're investing in them, and I think the biggest thing that I'm hearing you say is that living your experience, being transparent and authentic in yourself, and if we take that a step further, when parents can be transparent and authentic in themselves and
Yes,
their
yes,
delivery, teachers, administrators as well, for the work that you do, if we're expanding upon it that way. When you do that, there is a natural connection that happens. That's what I'm hearing you saying. And
yeah,
that like, the kid's bullshit meter is like uh,
yeah.
all-time high. It never turns off. Like, I'm just telling
Nope.
you, it doesn't turn off. I'm a parent, I
Oh.
get that. And so when I can be authentic where I'm at, My kids will meet me differently. They'll be more open. We can have different conversations. We can have deeper conversations, and those are meaningful along the way. And I know, like,
Yeah.
sometimes having those meaningful conversations can be just what it takes to make a change in their day and the things that happen
Yeah.
with them. Yeah, and how
Yep.
they react to something too. So,
Yeah. This is like, I remember talking with my mom one time, and I'm like, "Mom, I want to know you as a human being."
wow.
And this is like as an adult.
Okay.
Um, and she is like, "You don't need to know me and my story." Like, and I'm like, as a human being, I want to know your story, because I mean, she didn't have a great experience growing up, so
Mhm.
doesn't want to like do that or share that. But like, y- I think parents, and me not being a parent, like, I can't speak to, I know it's so much harder than me, like, from where I sit, what it's like. But I think, I shouldn't say I think, I know that if I would have seen my parents being more authentic in terms of like, yeah, I'm struggling here,
Mhm.
then I would have felt like, oh, I can sit in my struggle. And so
Mhm.
when it comes to like parents and their like approach with high schools, I think it's just like, show that you're a human being, and you have, and that you cry, and that you
Yeah.
struggle, and
Mhm.
that you have moments where it's really tough, and it's like, damn, I just did this thing at work and my boss hates me now, or I'm really worried, because I'm sure every parent goes in to work one day at some point in their career, and they're like, I have this really big thing due today, and
Mhm.
I'm presenting to this group of people, and I'm so nervous and I'm so scared. I don't think I've ever heard of a parent like ever say that to their kid, but then their kid would be like, "Oh, cool. Wait, you're struggling too?"
Yeah, it's relatability. And I
Yeah.
think we think as a parent, like, if I'm speaking from the parental side where I'm
Yeah,
sitting,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think if we feel like we can't let that side show, then what's happening is we're not being obviously, we're not being authentic, but there's a piece of us that goes, "Is that really responsible for us to do as a parent?" Like,
It's
how
can
responsible, like, where's the fine line? Like, I don't want my kid I want my kid to feel secure and know that I've got them and I can help take care of them. But I actually had a mentor at one point tell me, like, you can't do your kids' work for them. The best you can do as a
mm,
parent is walk beside them and
yeah,
sit with
yeah,
them and hold their hand, but you can't carry them through everything and do that work for them.
yeah,
Because you're
100%.
robbing them. Yeah, you're robbing them of that experience where their growth is really going to happen, and they're gonna
Mhm,
learn more about who their authentic self is. But your responsibility as a parent, and this is my experience, and this is what I was told, and it was super beneficial for me, and it let me off the hook. Like, it let me off
mhm,
the hook in my brain.
mm,
That my experience is that if I can sit with them, if I can walk beside them and let them know, "I'm here, I hear
mhm.
you, I see you, I get it." And
Yeah,
that's it. That's what they need. And then that
yes.
can create that resilience, but allow them to still have that struggle because, like, I wanna go back to what you said earlier, right? Doing things that are difficult. That's important in that growth process and that maturation process. And I think we miss that mark a lot because it's uncomfortable to do
Yeah,
difficult things and to sit in
yeah,
it. So
yeah,
tell me a little bit more about, let's go into that difficult space and let's kind of maybe unpack that and how that is important for that processing and for that standing and being the authentic self that you're meant to be and why it's
yeah,
important to be in the difficult.
yeah. I think going through difficulty, like, there's the cliche of it, to where it's like, you grow so much more when you go through that, but to
Mhm.
me, it's not even for the reason of going through things that are difficult. You just like get stronger as a human being, because if you get strong as a human being, what's the point? Like, it's from there, what is the strength for?
Mhm.
um and so I always, and I touched on it a little bit earlier, where it's just like, you go through that stuff so that when you're sitting there, and you're in a whole bunch of pain, that you know that you're still cared for. Like, how am I going to overcome this thing that I'm facing? Um, hey, even if you don't overcome it, you're still going to be loved.
Oh,
Hey, even
that's such a big moment right there. Yeah.
yeah, even if you don't even if you don't get that job or whatever it is that you've worked so hard for, hey, you're still loved. You're able to remove the outcome of needing it to be a good thing and just be like, hey, I'm loved even in the midst of this difficult challenge. And
Right.
so, yeah, I've learned over this, like, and this is where I think, I don't know, I my life has just been really unique. Is that the right word? Specially crafted for me
Okay.
to do
Oh,
this.
I like yeah.
Because like I didn't have a difficult childhood. I didn't
Right.
have challenges in the challenges in the traditional sense. I'm
Right.
like, okay, yeah, I grew up in a home where we had food on our plate. I had parents that valued me and cared for me and loved me. I had
Mhm.
both of them there in the house,
Yeah.
which is nowadays not a big thing.
Right.
Um, and I didn't have health issues. I didn't deal with like a really bad bully.
Mhm.
I didn't get hurt or anything. So I had just like an average, ordinary, fine life, but I still had pain. And I
Mm.
think that's the thing that I'm so thankful for how I've gotten to experience life, because like we usually think if things are really bad, then you have pain that's value or that's valued,
Wow.
worth
Yeah, no,
validating.
yes.
Yeah. And it's like, no, if you grew up a trust fund baby,
Mhm.
they're going to have pain that's very valid,
Yeah.
because I would guarantee their parents did not like treat them with empathy and compassion, because their dad, if he like made a huge company, is probably working all the time and the
Yeah.
kid feels secondary to the business. And so every human being has a struggle and a pain that's totally valid. And because personally I didn't have a huge one, but I still had it, it helps me like actually process it.
Yeah.
Because some people have some really deep,
Well,
deep
totally,
cuts.
totally, and
Yeah.
I love you saying that because for me, what I hear you saying is that it does not matter our experience. We are all going to experience painful moments. We're all going to experience trauma. And in therapy, there was a real issue for me at one point, in like in a group process where there were people sharing their stories, and they had what I would call, and the therapist would call, capital letter T trauma. And I was like, the thing that I
Mm,
was unpacking for the day was a lowercase t trauma.
yeah.
It wasn't anything that I felt like, wow, how it's that art of comparison, even
Yeah.
comparing our crap, right, to each other. And
Yeah.
I'm like, how am I sitting in the same room and
Mm.
having this experience alongside somebody that had such a traumatic experience when mine may not have been as comparable, but it still
Mhm, mhm.
happened. It's still I still have pain. So we all
Yeah.
experience that, and I think
Yeah.
that's a huge piece. Thank you for saying that because I think it lets people be seen for the fact that you don't have to come from this kind of look for you to have
Yes.
something that you have to struggle with and try to work through. Like you
Yeah.
are valuable enough, like you've been
Yeah.
saying, to do the work no matter where your background comes from and to be the best version of yourself. And where does that start for you? And how does that look? And I also hear you saying you're enough. You're enough.
Yeah.
You are.
Yep.
Big,
Yep.
big, big piece right
100%.
there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think I don't think you can, I think you can falsify and justify inside of yourself a allowance of life to be okay if you don't know that you're enough. I
Mhm.
think you need, like, if your foundational starting point isn't I'm enough, you're always going to be working for that thing that will make you enough. And you can never work hard enough to make you enough.
Right.
It's like you have to start there, and know that you were like crafted to be who you are, just as
Mhm.
you are. And then like this is, I always like the imagery of a fruit tree,
Okay.
to where, uh, well, first just trees in general. No, I'll go. Yeah, fruit tree. So, uh, a lot of the times, like, and this goes to like the being enough. We think if we produce enough, if we're an apple tree, if we produce enough apples, then I will finally be enough. But if you don't work on staying healthy and the tree making sure that that it has everything that it needs, eventually the apples will stop being produced, and then you'll have nothing in your life making you feel like you have any significance or any value.
Mhm.
And so if you're chasing a circumstantial external am I enough, you'll never get it, because it has to start within you. I am enough where I'm at, just as I am, and let everything flow out of there.
Yeah, it's
So
gotta
enough.
start at the
Yeah.
roots. It's
Yeah.
gotta start at the roots to be able to expand up and out, and I
Yep.
think, that's a really interesting point. When is it enough? When am I enough? When do you reach the finish line? Like, when is your to-do list?
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I think
never.
it's never
Yeah,
finished.
it's never. You can't, like, like, that's God. You can't reach that point. Nothing is nothing, and not even like in a you've like you could literally accomplish, like, I heard the statistic many moons ago, and it said, of all the information that's possibly knowable in the universe, we know like 0.04% of it.
Mm,
So like let's say one person knew all of that, and then they like were able to build this world upon knowing all of that. They were to do everything, they would still feel like there's more to do because of where they're operating from. It's
mhm.
like, I if you operate from lack, you'll always be pushing for more, and that's where it's like, yeah, you got to
Yeah.
start it. I'm enough.
Yeah. How do you teach kids to be okay with that? Like,
you
how do you
you
teach kids to be okay with that?
you don't teach them, you show them.
Oh.
You say like, hey, I know the world tells you you need to learn this, you need to get this, you need to become this, but right now when we're sitting together, the reason I'm sitting with you is just to be with you with where you're at. And
Mhm.
then they experience that and they're like, "Ooh, I like that." I
Mm,
like what eventually turns into like, why is it that you're approaching it that way? And teach me.
mhm.
Like, like, I am not, again, going to what I said earlier with the trust. Like, I don't I don't know what's best for them.
Right.
They need to discover that for themselves. And
Right.
then them giving me trust and saying, okay, I can like take what you're saying and actually implement it.
Mhm.
That is part of their process of them understanding themselves. And
Right.
so it's like, whenever you are ready to just have someone speak into you with some guidance, I'm here.
Mhm.
I'm, but until that time comes, you're just going to experience someone caring for you. So
Yeah.
I am not, I don't consider myself a teacher as much as just like, like a little thing you'd put in your pocket to be like, oh, I feel loved. Like anytime I forget, here's this like
Just
little
put it in my pocket.
reminder. Yeah.
Here's
Yeah.
Jake. Here's little Jake.
Yeah.
Put it in my pocket. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so speaking of
Exactly.
speaking of like little Jake, like you talked earlier about that little person inside of you.
Hmm.
Gosh, in therapy, I was taught to call it the little me. It was
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
Dawn, little me. And I like like they used to always say, and I could never buy into this, like my inner self. I was like, okay, that sounds hokey, kind of cheesy to me. So I had to find the right terminology. And I was like, okay,
Yes.
for
Yep.
me, it was like little Dawn, like little me. Well, how do I how do I reach in there and go, all right, you're valuable, you matter, and this is what this is? Because ultimately, when we don't feel like we're enough, it's because we did not
Hmm.
get those responses. We didn't get that feedback. when we were little in those formative
Mhm,
years. And
mhm.
so it's almost like a reparenting, and it's teaching
Yeah.
us how to reparent ourselves. And that's not taking away from our experience with our parents, because I think we got to get to a point where our parents have done the best that they can with the place
Yes.
we came from. And
Yep.
that for me has let me off the hook as a parent. It's not that I can't change my delivery, and it's not that I can't shift my reaction and make things different, but I also have to understand that, there's certain things that I did from a lack that I had, that I carried.
Mhm.
So my
Mhm.
responsibility is to do my own work to then be able to branch out. We're talking about the fruit tree and apple tree, like you said, to be able to branch out, to be able to be healthier pieces of fruit for the
Mhm.
community that I'm serving,
Yeah.
that I'm
Yeah.
feeding, right?
Yeah. 100%.
So you got to be able to allow them to question those pieces of who their little me is. And that may
Yeah.
be a little bit deep for a teenager to go into. But if we're
Yeah.
speaking to adults that are dealing with teenagers, administrators, teachers, other people that are involved, that are listening to your presentations
Yeah.
and that are around you with the one-on-one with your consulting business, like I think about that.
Yeah, so that's where, the other one of the other old I love old adages because 'cause they're so true. They carry
Yeah,
so much weight.
totally.
The teacher will show when the student yeah, when the student's ready.
Yep.
That it's like, that's one of my biggest struggles in terms of, like, speaking to schools and stuff is, like,
Mhm.
administration just want better grades.
Mhm.
And it's like, that's not what I'm gonna come in and do. I'm not gonna it will be a side effect, but that's not what I'm going after. I
Mhm.
just want your student body to know that they matter, and that they're cared
Mhm.
for. And so when it comes to like the little version of themselves, uh, for high schoolers, they're not that far removed from it. So it's like as you get older, you get further away from it and more disconnected. So you're
Yeah.
not needing to go through so much reconnection with them as
Mhm.
much as it is making sure that connection is maintained and stays. Like their bullshit meter.
Yeah.
Like, make sure you keep your bullshit meter there, not in a protective place, but so that you can like, hey, this person is genuinely a good listener, and I want a good listener in my life. So I'm gonna like
Mhm.
be close with them so I can have somebody that isn't like a therapist that I need to pay to
Right.
like have somebody in my life to just listen to me
Yeah.
and have a good friend. So you want to keep that connection to yourself. So they're not so far removed from it that so it's not so much reconnecting them with that, it's making sure they stay connected to themselves.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. And I think I have never thought about I've thought about it that way. That's so profound. Thank you for that. And I think too that we are as adults, we have the opportunity to pour into these developing humans and allow them to know those things. Like,
Mhm,
hey,
mhm.
there's certain things that are going to trigger you. There's certain things that are going to like really wind your clock in not a great way, and how you react to them is a big piece of it. But going back to the roots of who you are determines how you react to it. So what can we do along the way to help them foster that? I'm going to take a pause, I'm going to
Mhm.
react differently, and like emotional regulation, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Within the confines of still knowing that they're enough and they're valuable and their thoughts matter. But like, say they're really angry about something, they're really triggered about something, they don't want to define themselves based on
Yes,
the reaction they have, but they also don't want to negate the honesty that they have for what they feel. So bridging
yes,
that gap, like how do you do that?
yeah,
That's a loaded question. I know that's
yeah, no, 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 it's great, it's and this is where, I'm a very, how do I describe this? I don't think I have a proper answer for that
okay.
because it's not going to be, "Here's what I do every single time." Like, if you're trying to, with horses, if you're trying to break a horse, you're going to make sure it stays in a pen so that you can like go out and do it. When I work with them, sometimes it's going to be like, okay, we're going to be in the pen because we need to be in the pen, and sometimes we're going to be out galloping because you need to be out galloping. And so it's just, I know the each, and because I've experienced for myself that
Yeah.
I am my own person and I interpret life in my own manner,
Mm-hmm.
that every human being does that. And I'm not here to, and it ultimately goes back to, I'm not here to change you or fix you. And if you go in with the intention of, I'm here to value you and love you and care for you,
Mm-hmm.
wherever it goes is always good.
Right.
And so they aren't going to learn to self-regulate. There's this, I don't even know if this is a study, but I heard it and I always use it. And I think it's so good. Because I don't even know how you would study this,
Yeah.
but I heard somewhere once that if you were to put like a newborn in a room of adults, after 2 years, they would learn how to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Without anybody directly teaching them how to
Mm-hmm.
do it. And so when it comes to like regulating, it's like, I have to regulate myself as a human being. And I'm going to convey that when I'm with you. And then over time, you're going to slowly pick that up because you're like, oh, I see that you're at peace. I see that you know that you have worth and that you know that you have value and you know that you have loved. And I want that. And then they start to like copy because they want to experience whatever you have.
Yeah.
I like parents, and I'm thankful. Like, best thing I'll ever get to do in my entire life is be a parent. I can't wait. I have no girlfriend, and so I'm not close to this point. Because I want to get married first and then have a kid,
Yeah. Yeah.
or children. But I'm so thankful I get to like see this because I know it's not what you say, it's what you do and who you
Yes.
are. And
Yeah.
that's where it's like, I'm just gonna bloody love my kid. And I know all parents love their kids. And I think I'll have the deeper experience working with high schoolers of like, it is not what I tell them to do. It's
Yeah.
just like, who am I? And if they're having a difficult time, I would almost, not that you can chalk it up to you, like as the parent, but that's probably a manifestation of your like place that you're missing a connection with yourself, that they are
Yeah.
struggling in that.
Correct. Yeah. It's that connection thing. And what I hear you saying is that actions are such a big deal.
Yeah.
Showing up, just showing up is a
Yeah.
big deal. And if you're
Yep.
doing your best in that action and you're being your authentic self and you're living from that
Mhm.
space, then
Yep.
that's the
Yeah.
best you can do. And in and of itself, where that's concerned, you are enough.
Yes,
You're enough.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Precisely. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, just, I'm not gonna add more to that because that's perfect.
Yeah, well, I also
That's
want to say
perfect.
too, well, you talked about the support, and it's like therapy for a lot of people is a really important piece, right? And it's a
Mhm.
huge, huge tool that is valuable on so many levels. I know I would not probably be sitting right here with you talking today if I had not been
Mhm.
in multiple different forms. I want to take that another step further because when you feel isolated and you feel like that's the only means of support that I have, it's very challenging. I can take that from my own
Mm.
experience.
Mhm.
Connecting with other people for support. And I love what you said about finding supportive communities that you can plug into, that you can pour into, but that also
Mhm.
you can allow to pour into you. And
Yeah.
teaching teenagers about what is a valuable connection for a supportive community is so huge because I
Mm.
didn't get that. I missed that.
Yeah.
And then in my 30s, I'm like trying to figure out, all right, what does a friendship, a supportive friendship look like? And I failed miserably. And then in my 40s, I'm like, okay, maybe it's this. And then I failed
Mm.
miserably there because I didn't have those rooted connections of, hey, this is what matters to me. This is what's important to me. And it's okay if this relationship doesn't exhibit that. I can
Mm.
still move through it, be thankful for the experience, and continue to find a community, work to find a
Yeah.
community that
Hmm.
supports me,
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
know?
100%. The this is why it's so important to know experiences within yourself.
Mhm,
If you have someone in your life, what would be a good example of this? Um, if you have an adult male, like as a young, like 11, 12, 13-year-old girl, if you have a healthy, mature male figure in your life that just shows you value and care,
mhm.
and that little girl feels that inside of her and is like, "Oh, that's what this is supposed to be like."
Mm,
Then she's gonna grow up and be like, "Here's what I'm trying to recreate, is that feeling again. Is somebody that respects me, somebody that looks after me, someone that cares for me, someone that puts, like, my needs before their own at times."
mhm.
They're like, "That's" so whenever the false thing comes that is like, they'll be able to see through that really quick, and
Yeah.
it comes from, like, you remembering, you making sure you know what's happening inside of you, and that comes, like, being authentic, like, circling back to the thing is, like, what are you feeling? What is going on inside of you?
Mhm.
Authenticity is not just showing up in this world as yourself in the fullest. It's actually knowing and experiencing what's going on inside of you.
Yes.
And
Oh,
so
chills. Yes, totally, totally.
um and so it's like teaching these young people to stay in that place. Like I said earlier, they're like way more connected than most adults that learn how to disconnect out of safety and
Right.
protection.
Yeah.
Um, and so keeping them in that place, and then they're like, "Oh yeah," and then eventually, I know there's just no rhyme or reason or timing, I should say, to where like because they'll listen. High schoolers will listen. They just there's another quote that's goes, "People don't care how much you know till they know how much you care,"
Oof.
and yeah, high schoolers, it's like if they know that you care, they will eventually listen.
Right.
And then it's like, hey, just stay authentic to yourself. What are you feeling? What are you going through? Like if a guy makes you feel like so valuable one day and the next day like a piece of shit,
Mm,
like that's like you don't want to feel every other day like a piece of shit. So,
mhm.
like, what examine that dynamic that you have with that person. Is that a good person to be with if they're making you feel like that? But you only know that because you're feeling what's going on inside of you.
Inside. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
connecting, and I think that's relative to us no matter what age we are,
Yep.
it's relative. You
Yep.
know, the
100%.
disconnecting I love what you said. It's we will disconnect for our own safety a lot of
Yeah.
times, right? In
Yep.
our own
Yep.
self-preservation. And when
Yep.
we disconnect from that authenticity, then we run a real risk of I mean, we obviously when you're not connected to yourself, you can't connect to a community as fully as
Yeah.
you could. And with
Yeah.
vulnerability and bottom line circling back authenticity.
Yep.
You just
Yep.
just
Yep.
just can't. Tell me what
Yep.
the biggest gift has been for you through all of this work that you've done with different high school students and schools along the way.
Mm. Um. Um.
Oh,
It is so I've like um it has not been an easy journey like figuring out how to do this thing.
mhm,
Um like, and I'm still trying to figure it out. Uh, and my big, like, it, because it hasn't succeeded to the degree that in my head I know it's going to, and what I want it to become, like, I've had to live out the I am loved regardless of what I bring to this world. Like, my worth and my value isn't tied up in how I'm able to impact other people's lives. And I've had to, like, see that lived out. Like, if I would have gotten it, like, from the start, like, even when I was younger, 22. It's funny saying younger at, like, at that younger age is 22, not like a 15 or 14. Golly.
That means you're growing up, Jake. That means you're getting older.
I
I'm sorry.
know. I know. What in the world? Um, but, like, if I was 22 and I would have hit, like, that success that I wanted, and I just wouldn't I would have needed to maintain that success to feel like I mattered,
Mhm,
because that's what I still would have been in that mindset of getting my value in this world from the things that I'm able to bring.
mhm,
And so, because I haven't had that success to the degree that I know that will come one day, when the time is right, I've had to, like, actually walk out the message that I'm sharing.
ah,
And I am like, it just, like, I'm so thankful for that. It's like, it's so beautiful to actually, like, walk that, because there's going to be high schoolers, like, what's his name? Morgan Freeman.
yeah,
He Most people know Morgan Freeman now. But the dude didn't have his actual, um, like, moment breakout, if you will. I think till he was, like, in his 50s or 60s.
mhm,
So this guy just kept at it and kept at it and kept at it. And there's going to be people in this world that same journey is for them, and
mhm,
it's like being able to convey to them, yeah, like, it's tough. It's
yeah,
really tough going through that when you know inside your soul you want to bring this thing to this world, but the world isn't ready for it yet.
mhm,
It's like, but you can still know that you're loved, and you can
mm,
still experience love through that. And it's so what I'm so thankful for walking through with this and grateful for is that I've actually, not intellectually, but in my, like, heart and in my body, have realized it is the journey and it is
mhm.
not the destination. um and so, yeah, that would be how I'd answer that question.
Gosh, you gotta live it. You gotta
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
you gotta going back to that whole difficult point that you brought up, you gotta sit in that discomfort to
yeah.
really know what is powerful for you and what your true gifts really are. Yeah,
Yup,
yeah,
yup,
totally,
yup.
yeah. If you
100%.
if you were sitting here with a young person that feels discredited, feels devalued, feels like they're not enough, and it just they feel they're lost, they feel unseen, what would be, you know, saying you are loved, but what would be your message to them outside of just the banner phrase of you are loved? What would be your message to them? How would you look at them and say this?
um uh, Hard answer because I would need to, like, I can say generic thing
Mhm.
to them, but I want the words to actually hit, to actually
Yeah.
mean something. Um and so I would, like, want to know, like, actually where they're at, and then be able to come, it's like, so why do you feel like you're unloved or you're discouraged or you feel lost. And then they're just like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like anybody actually knows me or actually cares about me. And then if they're in that place, I tell them, you might go your whole life, your entire existence, not ever feeling known enough. But you, by anybody else, but you can know yourself so that you're always there for yourself, so that you're always feel supportive.
Mhm.
And eventually you will have people in your life that care for you, that support you, that cheer you on. And I promise the future that you're looking for, the friends that you're desiring, they will come. And it's during this time that you're going through this that you'll learn a love that's so deep and so true and so real that you'll be so thankful to have gone through this. So that would be like kind of, if I, it's hard to say, but that would be an example, kind of.
Right. Well, that's a beautiful example, and I'm just gonna let you know that that goes way above and beyond just a teenager needing to hear that. Maybe, like,
Mm.
the humankind needs to hear that, you know? Like, there are adults in my life that I know need to hear that
Mm.
and really feel that and, like, be given permission to go there.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
give
yeah, yeah, yeah,
permission to be vulnerable, to
yeah.
do self-reflection,
Mhm,
self-actualization, and
mhm.
understand that
Yeah,
it's not to your detriment to do that. You know,
yeah,
it may
100%.
suck, it may have struggle bus written all over it, but it's not to your detriment. It's actually to your benefit. And I think I
Yeah,
thank you for sharing that whole you're having to sit in your stuff to be able to get to your next right space. You're living it. You're living your message,
mm,
which I think
mm,
is beautiful. And I
mm,
think like you talked this whole time, it's about knowing that about you and it's about not being afraid to be with yourself in that
yeah,
way. And that's how we better can relate to people. That's how we better find our voice. That's how we better find our true authenticity and our true identity. Because
yeah,
that's really what
yeah,
matters.
it
Like, drop
does.
the other expectations. Like, drop them. Even like, okay, so here we go. I tell listeners to drop the expectations, right? Like, really? Like, they're gonna be like, "Screw that. What? I can't do that because this is what I've held on to for so long." So I'm gonna
Yeah.
invite listeners to drop 1% of the expectation today.
Yeah. That's
1%.
like, c can I jump in on that, like,
Totally.
expectation? I know for me, the thing, and I worked for probably 7 or 8 years trying to get to this point, and and then I had just, like, a session with someone that, and this human being that I just work with, he's, like, to me, like, top 10 people in the world to do what he does. He is incredible. What he did was, I think it's really, oh, that's so good. Okay, I think hopefully this comes out in my brain as good as out of my mouth as it did in my brain. I think it's really hard to replace anything if we don't know what we're replacing it with.
Mhm. Totally.
And the feeling, like, the expectations are usually a protector in our life to keep us safe. And if we haven't experienced safety, it's hard to believe that when we drop those expectations, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
So what I would say, like, the guy who helped me did was, or what we did was, okay, go back to that moment and experience healing in
Mhm.
that place where where you experience so much pain and so much hurt. And
Yeah.
so whenever your body wants to physically respond with protection, you've now learned, what does it feel like to be held and to be safe and to be known and to be enough and to be okay. And then you can slowly replace all of those safety mechanisms with these new emotions of comfort and of peace and of hope and of goodness and of gentleness in your life. And I think that's, damn, I never thought of it that way.
Well,
I
there
would
you
say I
go.
like do that, but I didn't like know I was doing that until like
Yeah.
verbalizing it right now.
Well, there you go. There you go. See, that points to everything you've talked about so far today is that we are here to do our work. We are here to walk our path. We're here to be authentic. We're here to show up. And I think we're here to serve communities, whether that is as a parent in your household, whether that is outside of your household serving in a volunteer capacity, whether that is talking to the person in line in front of you that seems to be having a bad day,
Mm,
and saying
mm,
hello to somebody, whether that's paying it
mm.
forward in the drive-through at Chick-fil-A. Who knows? Who knows? There's so many different places that
Yep,
can go,
yep,
but we
yep.
got to do our work. We have to
Yeah,
show up and do our work. And when we
yeah,
do, the outcome is so much better than the
yeah,
expectations we set up in our head
yeah.
for where we are. Oh,
100%. Yeah,
I can 100% attest to that from my own
yeah,
experience for sure.
yes.
Man, how
Yeah.
can people find you to hire you to bring you into their schools to either do presentations or to have one kind of in those kind of sessions with you? How can people connect with you?
Yeah, best way is just go onto the website. I go back and forth so much with Instagram, because like I at one point was like, I'm never gonna do that Instagram stuff, and I
Right?
have some stuff, but and I have some stuff because I know business nowadays, so much of it's run through that.
Yeah.
But it's I think slowing down is so valuable and is like where we're supposed to be operating out of as human beings. And
Mhm.
I just, even if it's good, I'd rather there be less good noise in this world than there is just like more noise. Because
A lot of
add,
distraction.
yeah, if you add even good things, it's still just noise. And
Yeah.
there's so much noise and busyness in this world. So I really struggle with Instagram. So the best way is just that jaketroxellconsulting.com.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then you just
Perfect.
find like link to book stuff through there.
I love it. I love it. Everybody, go talk to my friend Jake because Jake has it. Like, I think you have a really, really great perception and perspective on what it takes to step into vulnerability, what it takes to step into authenticity, and like you're doing your work. And I don't think there's any better example of somebody that can walk their walk. So, yeah,
Mm,
for what
wow,
it's
thank you. Yeah,
thank you for walking your walk today and sharing so intimately about the things that matter to you, the things that you are in the process of doing and the things that you can therefore bring to your community because we are all flawed human beings, but we
yeah.
can all bring things to the world even as flawed
Mhm.
human beings. They
Yep,
can both exist in the same
yep,
bowl.
yep.
Totally.
Who knew?
Who knew? Who knew? Who knew? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Jake, I
yeah,
hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
yeah,
So, so good getting to talk to you and have
yeah.
this
Well,
deeply, deeply important to me. It's a deeply important conversation about finding authenticity, allowing others to know that they have a voice, they have, they have, they matter. They matter.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, so thank you for having me. This has been
Absolutely.
awesome. A whole bunch of fun. Can I just wrap up with something really quick?
Please do.
Um, if you listen to this much, even if you're not a parent or you have little ones, it is because your heart needed to hear that you matter and that you're important and that you're cared for, like just as you are. You don't need to do anything or become someone bigger or better to be worthy of being cared for. So just know that you're loved and that that love is always pursuing you, always seeking
Mm,
you out. So just take that and carry on with the rest of your life.
yeah. Great. Love it, Jake. Oh,
Yeah.
mic drop moment right there.
Mhm.
Yeah. I want you to have a great rest of your day. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing your
All right.
soul with us today.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Don. See ya.